Good day, everybody. I hope that you're well and also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 7 English lesson on frequently confused words. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once you've logged on to aplusstudents.ca, with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English Language Arts, grade 7. And then we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of frequently confused words. All right. So our chapter is frequently confused words. Our subject is English Language Arts, grade 7. And the lessons that we are going to be focusing on under the chapter of frequently confused words is to use the correct frequently confused words and to correct errors with frequently confused words. All right, so when it comes to certain words, right? So when it comes to certain words, and certain words are often confused with another word. So sometimes you'll have a word that may seem like it is the same, or the spelling is the same, or the pronunciation is the same, but the way the word is used within a context is different, right? And a lot of words, or a lot of, let's say, a lot of people make the mistake of confusing a word with another word, and that is why we call it frequently confused words. It's like on more than one occasion where people confused words. All right. So once again, we have certain words, right, that are often confused with another word. And when you are writing, let's say, for example, you're writing either essays or you're writing paragraphs or you're just writing in general, right? Then you need to pay close attention to the words and make sure that you're using these specific words or the words correctly. Especially those words that with another word that either looks the same, sounds the same, right? You need to make sure that you're using the specific words correctly. All right. And we're going to look at a few examples, right, of words that are, let's say, that are frequently being confused with another word and words that you should use correctly. So we're going to look at those examples now. All right. So once again, we said certain words are often confused with another word, and you should write, when you're writing, you need to pay close attention to these words and you need to make sure that you're using them correctly. And an example, right? If we look at an example of words, oopsie, that are frequently confused with, right? Then it is fewer, using the word fewer and using the word less. Yes, both of those words, right? It means, there isn't much. There's fewer, there's less, that, there isn't much. There's right? It's like it's little. So fewer and less, yes, they have similar meanings, but when it comes to fewer and when it comes to less, you need to use them differently. You cannot use them in the same context. For example, if we use the word fewer, if we use the word fewer, then we use fewer to describe things that you can count. So fewer we use to describe things that we can count, like pencils and pens and books and tables and chairs. So once again, we have the word fewer and we have the word less. And then we have the word less. So we said fewer describes things that you can count, like pencils and cups and pens, and just things that you can count, even people. But then we use the word less. We use the word less, and that is to describe things that you cannot count. Then we use less, and less is to describe things that we cannot count. And remember, water we cannot count. So, once again, if you look at the word fewer and you look at the word less, even though they have similar meanings, right, we need to use it within the right context. Right? So, you need to try and not confuse the two. You shouldn't try and confuse the word fewer with the word less. You need to pay close attention to these words and you need to make sure that you use them correctly. So, once again, fewer and less is but an example. It's like one example of how we can like confuse, let's say, words that might have similar meanings, but we basically confuse it when we either have to put it in the different when we have to put a or choose a context in which we, for example, use that word. Right, so we said fewer is to describe things that you can count, like your pencils, for example, and less we use to describe things that you can not count. All right, and if we look at another example, right, of fewer, it says fewer people. Remember things that you can count. So of course, people we can also count. So which means that we say fewer people than expected came to watch the game. There we have fewer. And our town received less snow this winter due to the heat wave. So we say fewer people than expected came to watch the race. But then we have another one that says our town received less snow this winter due to the heat wave. And if we look at that both of that word, fewer as well as less. All right. Then we have another example of affect. Look at the word affect. We have affect and we have effect. Affect and effect. But of course, if we, for example, say the word faster, then of course it's going to seem as if these two words are the same. Affect and effect. All right. So if we look at the word affect and effect, then affect also have similar spellings and meanings, and it can also sound the same, like affect, effect. All right, and then we have affect and effect, and we said it has similar spellings, and it may similarly sound the same. But when it comes to affect and effect, the meanings are different. So now, the word affect is usually a verb that means to change or influence. So to change and influence. And then we have another one that says effect again. And then we say effect. Remember we said affect, right? All right. So when it comes to affect and effect, or let's say the frequently confused words, right? Then you're going to have to be mindful of the specific words that you use. All right. So we say that the words that are the same or almost the same are words like few and the words like old. So we said fewer. Sorry, why did I say old? I mean like less. Not I don't know where old comes in. I mean less. And then we have affect, and then we have the effect. These are often words that are being frequently confused. And when we use the word effect, effect is usually a noun that refers either the outcome of the results of something. All right. So now we're going to A plus students.ca and we're going to continue, right, with frequently confused words, and we're going to see how we can use certain frequently confused words to end up finding the correct word. And once again, we said certain words are often confused with another word. So when you write, you need to pay close attention to these words, and you're going to have to make sure that you use them correctly. All right, so we're going to a+students.ca and we are going to use the correct frequently confused words. So we're going to use the correct frequently confused words. All right, so yeah, we made an example already of effect and affect and less and fewer, right? Now it says we're going to complete the text with the correct word. It says, do you know? All right, so if we were to look at that sentence, it says, do you know? We need to choose between these ones. Do we say, do you know who, whose, or do you say whose? We need to choose the correct one. So, do you know who's leading the discussion at next week's book club meeting? Which one is correct? And if we were to choose the correct one, we would say, do you know who's, because it's like saying who's leading the discussion at next week's book club meeting? You see, so even that two words, whose and whose, right? You need to know and you need to pay close attention to these words, and you need to make sure that you are using these frequently confused words correctly. Right? All right. So whose is correct? It says the audience was charmed by the performer who maintained a lively humor and wit, sorry, throughout his. So the audience was charmed by the performer who maintained a lively humor and wit throughout his, do we say throughout his whole act, or do we say whole act? Which one is correct? The whole first option or second option? All right, so if we were to choose the correct option, it says the audience was charmed by the performer who maintained a lively humor and wit throughout his, do we say his whole? And if we were to choose the correct answer, we will choose whole. Because the other word whole is used for like a deep well or hole in the ground. All right, so now we're going to aplusstudents.ca and we're going to go to our test. It says at 14,400. At 14 at 4,400 words. The United States Constitution is shorter. Do we say then option 1 or than option 2? The written constitution of any other major country in the world. So we say at 4,400 words, the United States Constitution is shorter, option 1 or option 2. So we say any major day is shorter. We say than or than the written constitution. And then is correct. All right, and then we have yes and we have two. Sorry, two and two. Two as in the number two first. All right, so we can say extremophiles are organisms that can survive in environments that are too extreme for other organisms. Thermophiles, for instance, are extremophiles that thrive in extreme heat. All right, and we can say that they can survive in environments that are too extreme for other organisms. Not number one, number two. So two, which is option two, is correct. The first option is numbers. Like, for example, two, which is number two. The three smallest bones. Do you say in your body or in your body, which are all found in the ear, are the malleus, the incus, and the stapes? All right. So the three smallest bones, do you say in your or your body, which are all found in the ear and are malleus, the incus, and the stapes? So we now need to complete the text with the correct word. So the three smallest bone in your body. Yes, well done. Your is correct. And if you look at both of those words, right, can you see that both of the words, it's almost the same. It's spelled the same. It even almost looks the same. But the meanings of those two words are different. Let's try and do this one. You do this one. What is the answer here? It says Jazz Fest is a popular celebration of music and culture in the New Orleans. Every year, thousands of people attend the festival to experience, do we say its option one, spectacular performance, or its option two, a spectacular performance as well as the local cuisine and artwork? Which one is correct? All right, and if we were to choose the correct one, we would say Jazz Fest is a popular celebration of music and culture in the New Orleans. Every year, thousands of people attend the festival to experience its, because they're talking about the Jazz Fest, right? So they're making mention of the Jazz Fest. So we say it's referring to the Jazz Fest. Spectacular performance as well as the local cuisine and artwork. The other it's with the apostrophe, that is basically it is. It's a contraction for it is, right? All right, so now we're going to correct errors which frequently confuse words, right? And we are, and once again, we said when it comes to certain words, certain words are often confused with another word because we think that it is similar, right? But when you put it in a specific context or sentence, then you'll realize that the meanings of these words are actually different, like fewer or less. We thought like, it's the same, we can use it in the same context, but you cannot, because when it comes to fewer, we say that, for example, you describe things that you can count, like people, and things that we can count, fewer. But less are things that we describe things that we cannot count, right? All right, so now we're going to our test where we are going to correct errors with frequently confused words. It says Antarctica is the world's largest desert, right? On average, it receives only 6.5 inches of precipitation every year. Antarctica. So is it option one, desert, or option two, desert? If we look at option one is actually desert, and option two is a desert. So do you see there's only the double S within the first one that brings about the slight difference, right? So which means that the first one is desert and option two is desert, not dessert. Dessert is a delicacy, it is a sweet, something that we eat after our meals. All right. The same with lose and lose, right? We need to fix the one word that is used incorrectly. So we need to choose the correct word between lose and lose. While I was waiting for the doctor, I read a magazine article offering tips on how to stay healthy and lose weight. We now need to say which one is correct. Lose weight as in lose with one O, or is it lose with a double O? You need to choose the correct one. Is it the first one for lose weight, or is it the second one for lose weight? And if we were to choose the correct one, we would say lose weight is the first option. 1 O. 1 O, that is lose weight, right? If we go to the next one, it says Sean and Mary are champion snowboarders. So Sean and Mary are champion snowboarders. Do we say option one, there, or option two, they, staring in an upcoming commercial for a national sporting goods store? Do we say they're staring in an upcoming commercial, or they staring in an upcoming commercial for a national sporting goods store? The first option, they are, it means they are. It's like a contraction, they are. And the second one is they, which refers to either their goods, their bag, right? It's like possessive. So which one is correct? Option one, there, or option two, there. So we need to say which one is correct. There or there. All right, and if we were to choose the correct option, then we will say there, because they are staring in an upcoming commercial. All right, so that is now the end of our lesson on frequently confused words. And remember, we said that there are certain words that are used, in manners that is used incorrectly, or it is used in the wrong context, and that is words that are frequently confused words, right? We basically identified how we can fix those words by choosing the correct word, and you need to then know the meaning of the words in order to write those words in the correct context. All right, so this is the end of our lesson. Thank you very much, grade sevens. I really hope that you are going to have a good evening further. Goodbye.